Today's lesson is a review. We're going to be looking at Chapter 3, Lessons 1 through 3 on absolute values, addition and subtraction of integers. If we translate words into integers, we have words that represent positive numbers, such as above, rise, up, add, earning, ascend, lift, plus, increase, raise, gain, climb. Words that represent negative values include words such as drops, declines, decreases, goes down, lowers, a loss, spend, minus, below, descend, subtract, withdraw. There's one positive term, deposit. That one is the positive one. The positive term that starts with a D, deposit. It's the only one that starts with a D that is positive. It represents money that we put into an account. And it's the opposite of withdraw. So if we deposit money into our account, we add a positive amount to the account. If we withdraw money from an account, we're taking away from the account, so that's why it's negative. We can take these words and apply them to word problems. An airplane takes off and ascends 1,100 feet. After 20 minutes, it descends 200 feet. 10 minutes later, it rises 500 feet. How many feet above the takeoff point is the airplane now? When we translate this, we find the words ascends 1,100 feet. That's a positive 1,100. Descends 200 feet, negative 200. Rises 500 feet, plus 500. If we combine all of these, we get 900 plus 500. The plane is now at 1,400 feet. Absolute value was also covered in the chapter. Absolute value is a number's distance from zero. Remember that distance is always positive. When we talk about how far away something is, we always use a positive number. How do we read absolute values? Absolute values are numbers drawn in two bars. They're integers within two bars. So you see these straight lines. They are read as the absolute value of 3 is 3. The absolute value of negative 3 is 3. They have the same absolute value because they are the same distance from 0. Absolute value of 8 equals 8. The absolute value of negative 11 equals positive 11. Absolute values are always positive. How do we solve absolute value problems? We can solve for each of the absolute values. The first problem translates to 8 minus 3 equals 5. This would be positive 9 plus positive 11 equals 20. In this problem, you would solve the inside of the absolute value bars first. So negative 9 plus 7. This translates to the absolute value of negative 2. The distance from 0 would be positive 2. If we're looking at a number line, we can use absolute value to find the difference between two numbers. The distance between negative 4 and 2 on the number line can be found with absolute values. This is the absolute value of negative 4 plus the absolute value of 2. So the distance from 0 for negative 4 is represented by the green line, and that has a value of 4. The distance from 0 for the red line, or 2, is also 2. So 4 plus 2 is 6. The distance between two numbers on a number line is also the difference between the two numbers. So to find the difference, we use subtraction. We're going to take the big number minus the small number. In this example, the big number is 2 minus negative 4. Notice it's not 2 minus 4, it's 2 minus negative 4. If we have two negatives, they become a positive, and we change this to 2 plus 4, and that is equal to 6. Here's an example of a word problem in which we use absolute values. The temperature in December at a ski resort was negative 5 degrees Fahrenheit. The temperature in July at the same ski resort was 80 degrees Fahrenheit. What is the difference between these two temperatures? Notice the word difference, it means we can subtract. If we subtract, we're going to take big number minus small number. That would be 80 minus negative 5. The two negatives become a positive, and 80 plus 5 is 85. We could also add the absolute values. The absolute value of negative 5 is 5. The absolute value of 80 is 80, so the answer would be 85. Notice we get the same answer whether we use the difference of big number minus small number or if we add the absolute values. Here's a review of integer addition. When we're adding integers with the same signs, we add the numbers and keep the sign. Positive 2 plus positive 7 is positive 9. Positive 3 plus positive 4 is positive 7. This also works with negative integers. Negative 3 plus negative 5 equals 8 negatives, negative 8. Negative 1 plus negative 2 equals 3 negatives, negative 3. If we have same signs, we add the absolute values and keep the signs. If we have integers with different signs, such as 2 plus negative 7, we're going to cancel out the zero pairs. And that means we're subtracting 2 from 7, and we're left with 5 negatives. Give the sign of the bigger number. Negative 3 plus 4. We have 3 negatives and 4 positives. Again, we're going to subtract the zero pairs, and that leaves us with 1 positive. 5 plus negative 8. Subtract 5 zero pairs, and we're left with 3 negatives. 8 minus 5 is 3, but we have more negatives than positives, so it's negative 3. 4 plus negative 2. We're going to subtract 2 zero pairs, and we're left with two positive signs. So if we have different signs, subtract the zero pairs and give the sign of the bigger number. We can also add integers on a number line. We always start from 0. In this case, we're going to go down 3 and down 2. This puts us at negative 5. Same signs, add and keep. Here's 3 plus negative 6. Again, we start from 0. We go forward 3, and negative 6 tells us to go back 6. If we go forward 3 from 0 and then back 6, we end up at negative 3. If we have 3 or more numbers that we're adding, we can use a t-chart. If you see 3 or more, use a t. Put the negative 8 on the negative side, positive 6, and negative 3. We get 6 on the positive side and negative 11. 6 minus 11 is the same as 6 plus negative 11. The answer is negative 5. On this example, we have 2 positives, 7 positives, and 9 negatives. 2 plus 7 is 9. Bring down the negative 9, and that shows us that this has an answer of 0. Integer subtraction works a lot like integer addition in that negative numbers are subtraction and positive numbers are addition. In this example, we have 2 negatives next to each other. Remember, if you take away a bad thing, that's a good thing. So it's negative 10 plus 5. That equals negative 5. Different signs, subtract, and give the sign. If we have 8 minus positive 10, we can keep, change the signs. In other words, we can keep the 8, change the minus to a plus, and change the plus to a minus. So instead of seeing it as 8 minus positive 10, it can be read 8 plus negative 10. In this case, we see we have different signs, so we subtract the zero pairs, and we're left with negative 2. If we have 8 positives and 10 negatives, we're left with negative 2. Here we can take the same problem and do it on the number line. We start at 0 and we're going to go up 8. From 8, it tells us we're going down 10. When we go up 8 and down 10, we end up at negative 2, the one that there's more of. This example can be broken down to look at it as an addition problem. Negative 4 and negative 8. Negative 4 and negative 8 means same signs, or we're going to add negative 4 plus negative 8. And negative 4 plus negative 8 is negative 12. It's like saying there's 4 points for the negative team, 8 points for the negative team. How many points does the negative team have altogether? 12 negative points, negative 12. So same signs, add and keep. You can also see it as keep, change. Negative stays with the 4, keep the negative on the 4, change the negative to a plus sign, and then put a negative in front of the 8, and you see it's -4 plus -8. -10 and -5. Again, we're adding -10 plus -5. That gives us 15 negatives. Same signs, add and keep. The song, same signs, add and keep, different signs subtract. Give the sign of the one that there's more of, you will be exact. We can also do integer substitutions. In this example, w will equal -7 and k equals 5. If we're finding w plus k, we start by substituting. So we're going to put -7 in where w is and 5 in for k. So you see we have -7 plus 5. If we solve, we get -2. We could find k minus w. So we'll substitute. That will give us 5 minus -7. So in this case, we have two negatives. We're saying +5, take away -7. When you see two negatives, we're going to make them into a positive. And that simplifies the problem so that 5 plus 7 is 12. And that's the end of our review. You have homework in quizzes. You can find it in Google Classroom. It will be a review assignment of lessons 1 through 3.